really getting along well with each other. The first thing to know is, as introverts and as extroverts, you all really experience meetings incredibly differently. So extroverts at a meeting will often feel, understandably, as if the introvert sitting next to them, they know that they have lots of good ideas and yet they're not saying anything. So the extroverts understandably feel like, well, is this person out of touch? Is this person aloof? Are they disengaged? What's going on? And the introverts often feel as if by the time they thought of the thing that they wanted to say, the meeting was over. So that's a problem. So just a few things to know about this. Extroverts, if you want to hear the best of introverts' brains, probably the best thing to do is not to call a meeting, but rather to talk one-on-one, and ideally to give advance notice of the thing that you want to talk about, because introverts, by definition, like to think before they speak, right? They want to process things before they talk about them. And introverts, here's what you can do. Before meetings, think about what you're going to say, prepare what you're going to say, and then when you get there, speak up early. Push yourselves to be one of the first people to speak, because what that does is it puts you into the center of the room. It puts you there technically, but it also puts you there psychologically. And it decreases the anticipatory anxiety of being the person who hasn't spoken yet, and then by the time you do, you feel as if all eyes are on you. So just give yourself that little push. Now, second thing to know, introverts and extroverts, you handle conflict really differently. So extroverts tend to be what psychologists call confrontive copers. They want to deal with the issue head on, they want to really talk about it and hammer it out. And if things get a little heated, that's okay, because it's in the service of solving the problem. Introverts are different. Introverts want usually to diffuse the sense of conflict in the room, and so they will tend to get muted at a time of conflict. And this can lead to incredible misunderstandings. If you think of marriages, if you think of business relationships, if you have introverts feeling as if as the extroverts get louder, the introverts feel that they're aggressed upon. The extroverts, on the other hand, feel as if when the introverts get muted, that they're tuning out, and the extroverts start to feel abandoned, and as if the introvert doesn't care. So it's crucial to understand these differences in each other's styles, not take them personally, but try to work through them. And then, finally, this is a big one, to understand that introverts and extroverts really express enthusiasm differently. The two types feel equal amounts of enthusiasm, but introverts tend to be quieter about it, extroverts are more expressive about it. So I want to just tell you this story from my own personal life. My husband, my beloved husband, is an extrovert, and when we first met was when I was first trying to start writing, and I hadn't yet started writing my book Quiet. I was experimenting with many different genres, and at the time I met him, I had been working on a memoir that I was writing in sonnet form. I was writing it in poetic verse. And I showed it to him, and I'm sharing it with you here, the email that he wrote to me after he read it. He was like, holy shit, right woman, right. And he said all these things that made me feel like, wow, I really have to keep going. It was incredibly expressive and enthusiastic of him. And I love that about him. Now what I have to remember, in contrast to that, is when he does something that's really wonderful, I need to remind myself to express my enthusiasm in a style that at least approximates his, because if I don't do that, then he can feel as if I'm not actually that enthusiastic about it, right? Like we have to remind ourselves to match the style a little bit, or at least get halfway there, matching the style of the person who we are in a relationship with, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship or a business relationship. Just to be mindful of these things. And then finally, I wanted to say to you, in a really broad way, that we really are talking about a quiet revolution here. And we're talking about the next great diversity issue of our time. We all know the case for gender diversity, we know the case for racial diversity, we know the case for national diversity, ethnic diversity. We know that these are moral issues, but also that these are issues that affect the bottom line. And the same exact thing is true when it comes to personality diversity. We desperately need the talents of the bold and the gregarious among us, and we need the talents of the quiet, careful thinkers. And the beauty of it is that this doesn't cost a lot of money, and this doesn't take a lot of time. All this takes is thinking a little bit differently about what it means to be quiet. So thank you very much. Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here with you today. And I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Please welcome Renee Cochran.